Okay, take two. I just recorded a video talking for a half an hour trying to use OBS to record the audio. It got none of the mic. So I said, screw it. I just added the mic as a track here in Reaper. I did show how I put all this together, but everybody will understand how to make a track and put EZDrummer on a track. So just a quick recap. I've got a track with EZDrummer. I've got a track with MT Power Drum Kit, and I've got a track with One Kit Wonder. I routed from EZDrummer to each of these, so it's routing. Well, I'll just show you the routing where it's sending. There's a send MT Power and a send to Get Good Drums from EZDrummer. Also, in EZDrummer, you go to Settings, General, and enable MIDI out. Then in MT Power Kit, I add MidiNoteMapper first. It's going to receive the MIDI and then allow it to pass on to MT Power Kit. Inside this MidiNoteMapper, I have loaded EZDrummer 3 remap, a map I made, and MT Power Kit remap, which is another map I made. I'll show you what those look like real quick. These maps have very specific names. Ride Bell, Crash 4. These are I have renamed all of these names from the standard EZDrummer map, and specifically, this is important, Tom 1 through 5 is the highest tom to the lowest tom. Tom 1 through 5. And you'll also notice things like snares repeat. There's many different places where snares hit in the EZDrummer map. Then when you go to the MT, where is it? MT Power Kit map. Not this one, not this one. Did I close it? Let's open that up. The MT Power Kit remap has a couple of places where Tom 1 can hit, but it's only got 3 total, and Get Good Drums only has 4 total. So the filters button, I've got map repeated notes. That's because EZDrummer will repeat notes, and I'm only sending the snare. So I decided to block everything but the snare to MT Power Kit. You know what? Let's hear that. So we'll close this, get out of the way. We'll play a groove. Ooh, that's a little loud. Here's what EZDrummer's doing. Because I have gone in the mixer and muted everything but the kick in the mixer, so I can bring that up and it won't interrupt. There's the kick and MT Power. So I've done something similar in One Kit Wonder, where I'm allowing cymbals, hi-hats, toms. So let's kill that. So here's the interesting part. Now, if I bring up the drums, did you notice these repeat? Because they're muted in EZDrummer, and I allow them to send toms, extra high tom, when I send to Get Good Drums. Because Get Good Drums only has 4 toms, and this has 5 toms. And when I was playing these, go here and I'm going to turn on show live. And go to the mixer and let the toms back in. Tom 1. Tom 2 still maps to Tom 1. And then there, Tom 3 to 2, 4 to 3, and then they're lined up for extra high. So, and now I'm gonna bring down all of these and so that sounds higher to me than that sounds high. Darn it. That sounds higher to me than the Get Good drums. That's the high. To me, that tom sounds more like this tom. So I said it had an extra high tom. And that's the one it goes. Because this tom is extra. So now when the MIDI, when you've got MIDI that plays this tom and this tom, they're both going to hit, they're going to line up and both hit this one. Now you could say extra low tom if you think the MIDI hits are more important on the high toms, like when it's doing fills or something. So even though they tonally don't, tonally they line up this at where that's the extra, but you could still say the low is the extra and it will line up. All of the MIDI will line from Easy Drummer. The high tom will hit the high tom, and it'll just be repeated notes if they're playing along across the two low toms. I'm going to leave it at that and keep this short, and could get into more details on another time if we want to about MidiNoteMapper. How export mapped isn't exporting your maps here, it's exporting a troubleshooting. It's showing how this map happened. If I went to the filter and turned off everything and hit export mapped, it'll show you a map where it says nothing mapped correctly. And then if I said, well, just hats and cymbals, it'll show you a map where all the hats and cymbals mapped correctly and everything else that didn't. It's very handy for troubleshooting. Now, the show live is also handy, but it will, it'll ignore the filters, it'll ignore the maps, and then allow everything to sneak through. So you can see now, that sounds like I've got the volume off on Easy Drummer, and on One Kit Wonder, that sounds like a closed hat, and that's a. So you can see, well, what I'm sending, and well, and they didn't map. They're not mapped right anyway. And then I can turn that off, and they won't play, because I've got them turned back on Easy Drummer anyway right now. So always remember to turn that off before you start playing. That's the idea, though. That the names are what's important now, and software can be smart about mismatches, and you can use the filters and do quicker sanity checks with the export. Here's what an export I had done earlier when I was only sending the snare to MT Power Kit. So I'll just pull that up real quick. In MT Power Kit, which is right here, the filter is snare only. So when I export mapped and it's only sending the snare, you can see there's several snares in Easy Drummer. So no, if the MIDI the Easy Drummer uses, I don't know which one it might use. If it hits any of these, it's going to line up to a snare in the Power Kit. It's going to make it 38 over and over and over again, because that is the one snare, because that's the one snare in the power kit, 38. So these outputs are super handy when you're making these maps to see what's lining up and what's not. And this is all of the, this is everything that what's from that map. So there's a tom 3 on 41 in the power kit somewhere. It's tom 3 and 41 in the power kit, and there's a tom 5 on 41 in Easy Drummer. This, now if I let these map in the filters, then these would be up here and you would see the translation. So that's the idea, that you've got to name these names a specific way and then make your files once, and then you never have to touch it again. You can map, you can just pick and choose what you want to do. It'll figure out the translations for your maps for you, and you don't have to make them for every iteration of how you want to send your MIDI. So let me know what you think.